Have you ever had that feeling, like you're just going through the motions? You know, that little voice in the back of your head that says something's missing? That you're just sort of waiting for your real life to finally start? Well, it turns out a lot of us feel that way, especially now, in this age of non-stop distraction. So today, we're going to jump into Dan Koh's book, The Art of Focus, to really get to the bottom of this feeling and find a solution that's, well, it's surprisingly simple. Let's get into it. You know the drill. The day starts, that alarm goes off, but instead of feeling energized, you just feel resistance. So you hit snooze. Once, twice, maybe even 4 times. It's really the first signal that you're starting another day on autopilot, in a routine that feels less like a life and more like a trap. And then, before your feet even touch the floor, what's in your hand? Your phone. You start that mindless scroll through a world that's basically designed to make you outraged or jealous, a world of these tiny, fleeting dopamine hits. Right there, you've given away your most valuable resource, your attention, before the day has even really begun. Next up is the commute, the job that doesn't light you up, that feeling of just being a tiny cog in somebody else's giant machine. Your energy just drains away. Any passion you had starts to fade, and you're left with that nagging feeling, there has to be more than this. And all of this leads to the huge question Cowie asks in his book. We keep telling ourselves, oh, life will start after I graduate, or after I get that job, or after the next promotion. But that empty feeling, it just sticks around. So when does life actually begin? So the book makes this really powerful argument. It says that our inability to answer that question isn't because of a bunch of separate little problems, like the job or the phone. No, those are just symptoms of one single, much deeper issue that's right at the heart of modern life.
We hear it all the time, right? Fix your habits. Make your bed. Wake up earlier. And look, those things can be helpful, for sure. But Coy says that's missing the point entirely. It's like trying to fix a sick tree by trimming a few leaves instead of looking at the roots.
And it's not about a lack of motivation either. I mean, we all want a better life, don't we? We watch the motivational speakers, we read the self-help books, but somehow the change just doesn't stick. So why is that? It's because we're fighting the wrong enemy.
And this quote, this just nails it. This is the core idea. The real problem and the real solution is focus. Coy calls it the habit of habits. It's the master key that unlocks everything else. Focus is the energy that separates doing something meaningful from just being distracted.
Okay, so if focus is the answer, what does that actually mean? Because it's a lot more than just, concentrating on your work. It's about bringing order to your mind. And to really get how that works, we need to look at a fundamental law of the universe. To explain this, Coe brings in a concept from physics, of all places, entropy. Now, entropy is basically the law that says everything, from stars in the galaxy to your own bedroom, will naturally slide into disorder and chaos unless you put in energy to create order.
And here is where it gets really interesting. This concept of entropy applies perfectly to our minds. Without that intentional energy, which is focus, our minds just default to what Coe calls psychic entropy. And that's exactly what chaos, stress, and overwhelm feel like. So focus is the energy we have to apply to bring order, clarity, and purpose to our own thoughts.
This is a game changer because it means we can stop thinking of our minds as some uncontrollable storm. Instead, we can see the mind as a system that we can actually learn to direct, to manage, and even to design ourselves.
This quote really sets up an incredible analogy the book uses. Life is a game. But the problem is, far too many of us are playing it like non-player characters, NPCs, just reacting to the world around us and running on programming we never actually chose.
So using this idea from games like World of Warcraft, Coe shows us that we can consciously create our own character. You can question your race, that's your cultural programming, the stuff you were taught to believe. You can choose your class, the specific skills you want to build. And then you can begin your own journey by deciding which problems you actually want to solve. So it all comes down to this choice. Are you going to be the main character, proactive, solving problems, questioning everything, and creating your own path? Or are you going to be an NPC, reactive, just following the script and sticking to the safe path that everyone else is on? That choice you make determines the quality of the entire game.
And the enjoyment, the real fun in the game, is found in this sweet spot that psychologists call a flow state. It's pretty simple. If a challenge is way too high for your current skill level, you feel anxious. If your skills are way higher than the challenge, you just get bored. Real enjoyment and real focus happens right in the middle,
when you intentionally match the challenge to your skills. That's when life feels meaningful.
All right, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do we actually start playing as the main character? Well, this next part is all about the practical, actionable steps to do just that.
First things first, we have to completely redefine the word purpose. It is not some huge mythical destiny you have to go out and find. According to Coley, your purpose right here, right now, is simply the most pressing problem in your life that you've been putting off. It's real, it's immediate, and solving it is the very first quest on your new journey. Now, solving that first problem puts you on what Code calls the path of the value creator. And just look at this process. You start by solving your own problems. In doing that, you gain actual direct experience. Then you can turn that experience into a system or a process. You package that system up to help other people solve that same problem. And that becomes your life's work, your unique way of contributing.
This just completely reframes your entire life, doesn't it? Your life stops being something that just happens to you. It becomes your ultimate creative project, something you are actively building and designing every single day.
And really, it all comes down to this idea of alignment. The universe, or life, whatever you want to call it, it has a certain harmony, a flow. So much of our unhappiness comes from fighting against that flow, from resisting the very challenges and struggles that we need to grow. The art of focus is really about learning how to flow with it. So we're going to leave you with this final question from the book. Think of the universe as one grand orchestra playing a beautiful song. Your life is your instrument in that orchestra. So the question is, are you consciously choosing the notes you play? Are you playing in harmony with what you truly value? What song are you trying to play?